In the last couple of weeks, German media and social media has been flooded with one big topic: the heavy accusations against Rammstein's lead singer, Till Lindemann. So what exactly happened? What do we know as of right now? And what are the consequences? Let's take a closer look. Hello, servus, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Feli. I'm originally from Munich, Germany, but I've been living here in Cincinnati, Ohio, on and off since 2016. So in the last few weeks, some pretty serious accusations have been made against Till Lindemann, the 60-year-old frontman of the band that is often considered Germany's flagship export in the music industry, the industrial metal band Rammstein. With over 20 million sold albums worldwide, they're the most successful German language band ever. They have fans all over the world, sell out gigantic stadiums, and for many, their music is the very first contact with the German language, which sometimes even sparks further interest in learning it or even visiting our country. Now, this isn't really the type of content that you guys are used to on my channel. I'm not a Rammstein fan myself or of metal music in general, but this is a huge topic in the German-speaking world right now. And most of the newspaper articles, the statements from witnesses and alleged victims, and YouTube videos about this are in German. So I felt like it might be helpful to give those of you who don't speak German a summary of what's been going on. I'm going to tell you how all of this got started, what media investigations have uncovered since, what a German YouTuber has to do with all of this, what consequences there have been so far, and what the public reactions and discussions have been like. Please note that I myself don't have any kind of insider information here, and I can't tell you if and to what degree the allegations are true. I wasn't there. All I can do is summarize what other people and publications have said about this case and how all of this has been playing out since. And at the very end, I'll also share some of my personal opinion for those of you who are interested in that, but that's gonna be separate from the rest. Everything started a few weeks ago, on May 25th, when the 24-year-old Shelby from Belfast, Northern Ireland, started sharing her negative experiences from the Rammstein concert in Vilnius, Lithuania on Twitter. I'm gonna link Shelby's tweets for you in the info box, and I'll also insert some screenshots for you guys throughout, so just pause the video whenever you want to read those. But to summarize it, she says that the week before the concert, she reached out to a woman called Alena Makeva, who has been known to work closely with the band, to see if there's any way she could get into the after party. And Alena responded and invited her to row 0, which is what they call the row right in front of the stage. And based on statements from other Rammstein fans that I've read over the last few weeks, being invited to this row also commonly comes with invitations to the pre and or after parties with the band or individual band members. Shelby was then added to a WhatsApp group chat where all of the invited girls were supposed to send selfies and say whether they'd like to attend the pre-party, after party, or both. Alena told them how to dress for the show and also asked who still needed a ticket, which made Shelby realize that not all of these girls were regular Rammstein fans who bought their own tickets. At the venue, she and the other girls were then gathered by Joe Letts, an American musician and former drummer of the industrial metal band Combichrist, who, according to this website, is, quote, a full-time crew member of Rammstein, catering to the band's many personal needs on the road and hosting and DJing their legendary after parties backstage each night. Shelby says that he filmed the girls individually on his phone and then led them to a little backstage party room with lots of alcohol and a few snacks. They weren't allowed to bring their phones inside and were told that they should just start partying and get hyped. So the girls started talking with each other, and Shelby says that she had 2 drinks, a vodka and Red Bull, and a Prosecco. And then Joe came up to her and said that Till Lindemann would like to meet her. She says she immediately asked why and if this was about sex, because that's not something she was interested in, but he reassured her that it was not about that and that Till is a gentleman and just wanted to hang out with her underneath the stage during the DJ interval. He also said she shouldn't tell the other girls. Then Till Lindemann himself came into the room apparently, shattered some whiskey glasses, and then took a tequila shot with everyone. Shelby says that about half an hour after that, her memory got very blurry, and for the first half of the show, she felt, quote, like a human zombie, singing, dancing, but also stumbling, tripping, dropping things. Then, during intermission, she was brought underneath the stage into a small room behind a curtain. She says it was like a changing room. Lindemann then came in, and because another girl had told her that these kinds of hangouts are in fact about sex, she immediately said that she's not interested in that, to which Till apparently reacted very angrily and said that Joe told him she wanted to. He stormed out and told Shelby to wait there, so she waited a few minutes before she went back to the concert. She remembers that a lot of the girls in row 0 were picked up about 2 songs before the show was over, and then the next thing she knows is being at the after party with the lead guitarist Richard Kruspe sitting right across from her. And even though she didn't have any more drinks, she ended up going to the bathroom to throw up and then somehow made it back to her hotel, where she discovered a lot of really bad bruises on her body. And to this day, she doesn't know where these bruises came from. She then spent the next couple of days in her hotel room with really bad symptoms that included hallucinating, shaking, cold sweats, freezing, and vomiting. She ended up calling an ambulance and the police and did a drug test on the second day, but nothing was detected. Despite that, she's convinced that she was spiked, as she says, meaning that she was given some substance without her knowledge or consent. Her guess is that it may have been GHB, gamma hydroxybutyrate, because it seems to perfectly line up with her symptoms and the timeline of when she started acting weird and how long it lasted. Plus, any traces of the drug usually vanish within 12 hours, so that would explain the negative drug test. In one of her very first Instagram stories talking about this, she actually mentioned that at the pre-party, Till put a coaster on the tequila shot and then banged the glass onto the table to make it foam. But a few days later, she realized that tequila doesn't usually foam when you shake it, unless it's mixed with another substance. So that's what she assumes might have happened to her. Okay, so that was very detailed, even though this was already a condensed version of it all. But a lot of the media coverage that followed this actually got Shelby's story twisted a bit. So I feel like it's important to understand what she said exactly, as this is the story that started this all and that paved the way for many, many other women to come forward. Because at this point, you might be thinking, well, she wasn't raped. She wanted to attend the backstage parties, and who knows why she really felt sick. But this story was really just one of many others that followed. Every story is a bit different. Some are harder to listen to than others, but they all have something in common. Over the last few weeks, big German publications like Der Spiegel, Süddeutsche Zeitung, Die Welt, and the public broadcasting institution NDR have talked to dozens of women who, just like Shelby, have attended these parties, as well as people who have worked with Rammstein. Even though most of them are opting to stay anonymous at this time, the publications have checked the stories for plausibility with photos, videos, and text messages, and some of the interviewees even signed an affidavit, meaning they'd commit perjury if they lied. In addition to that, there are countless stories going around on social media platforms like Twitter, Reddit, and Instagram, most of them also anonymously. I'll link some of them in the info box below. And when you piece all of this together, it creates a picture of a well-oiled system where relatively young girls get recruited to these backstage parties under the pretense of getting to meet the band, or specifically Till Lindemann, their idols, often without being told what the real purpose of this is. The German magazine Der Spiegel summarized the statements of one of their sources like this. Supposedly, the goal of this entire system was to provide Lindemann with sex partners. For that reason, young women were invited to concerts and to after parties under false pretenses and provided alcohol. And the newspaper Die Welt writes, another source describes it like this: it's an abusive system that's intended to provide Lindemann with quick sex. So quick that many women don't even have time to comprehend what's happening. One of the girls they talked to, from another European country, told them she believes that she was drugged at the show. She has huge memory gaps of the night, but she does remember having sex with Lindemann in his hotel room, which left her with vaginal bleedings afterwards. Süddeutsche Zeitung talked to a 20-year-old girl from Vienna who went to a Rammstein concert in 2019, where she was invited by Joe Letz to attend the official after party. That's where Alena Makeva then asked her if she wanted to meet Lindemann. She says, mir war schon bewusst, dass das alles eine sexuelle Komponente hat, aber ich bin nicht davon ausgegangen, dass irgendjemand etwas macht, was ich nicht will. She ended up at the hotel with a lot of other girls and a lot of alcohol, but she doesn't remember everything and says she must have passed out at some point. The newspaper writes, als sie wieder aufgewacht sei Till auf mir drauf gewesen. Ob aufhören solle, habe sie gefragt, als gemerkt habe, dass sie wach geworden sei. Und sie habe nicht einmal gewusst, womit aufhören wollte. The next day, she woke up in another room. She asked the crew if she could talk to Lindemann, and when they wanted to know why, she said because she's not sure if he used a condom. Alina Makeva has been a prominent name in the last few weeks, and next to Till Lindeman himself, she's one of the main faces of this case. Apparently, she's also sometimes referred to as Aljona, and according to media reports, she's in her mid-30s, originally from a small village in Russia, and has made it her goal to be close to celebrities. In an old interview, she talked about how she regularly ends up at the hotel rooms of various musicians, and her Instagram photos show her with all kinds of celebrities. It is said that she was previously affiliated with musician Marilyn Manson and was potentially recruiting girls for him. Manson has been accused of sexual abuse in numerous cases throughout his career. Till Lindeman is without a doubt the celebrity that shows up the most on Makeva's Instagram account. Their first photo together was posted in 2016. Since 2019, she seems to be going on tour with Rammstein, and she even appears in their music video for the song Platz 1 from 2020. In her Instagram bio, Makeva calls herself casting director. According to insider statements, she's not officially employed by the band though, and doesn't actually get paid for any of this. Makeva was also the one that approached German YouTuber Kyla Scheiks at a Rammstein concert in Berlin in June 2022. Now, almost exactly 1 year later, Kyla published a video sharing her experiences from the concert and how she ended up at one of these after parties. It's a story that she was going to tell right after it happened last year, but her management at the time told her not to do so, and even told her to take down the Instagram story that she had already uploaded about this. This is normal in the industry, she was told, and that her making a fuss about this would have negative consequences for the person who arranged the tickets for her. They were tickets for the so-called Feuerzone, the fire zone, which is a separated section that's closer to the stage. Kyla, who was 20 years old at the time, went with a female friend who had just turned 18. During intermission, they were approached by Alina Makeva.
I work for Till. I just wanted to ask, it's gonna be so much fun if you want to come to the after party. Und ich war erstmal so, oh, that's so cool. Where's the party? Is it here? Und sie meinte, yeah, it's right here. It's in the Olympia Stadium. It's right here. It's gonna be a lot of people.
She told Kyla to message her on Instagram after the show to get all of the details. So they went to the meeting point where Alina picked them up and asked them a few more questions.
How old are you? Und dann hat sie gefragt, so, have you ever been to a Rammstein concert before? Are you girls really big Rammstein fans? Und ich habe geantwortet, yeah, I mean, I like his music. I'm not like the biggest fan, but like I do like his music. Und da hat sie mir so einen komischen Blick gegeben. Sie meinte, okay. War das erste Mal so ein Tick nicht ganz so freundlich aufgesetzt wie davor.
At the time, Kyla and her friends had never heard of the rumors about Till's girls that go around among Rammstein fans. They were under the impression that they were going to the regular after party. And that's where they were led to first. Kyla says that it was a big party with lots of German celebrities, which to them seemed like a really cool event to be invited to. But instead of entering the party and mingling with everyone, they and about 8 other girls were told to wait on the side. She was confused because they were the only guests who didn't have to take a COVID test. Then Alina told them that they were about to meet Till now.
Like, I don't have to meet him. She said, no, it's no problem. You're all gonna meet him. It's gonna be fun. You're gonna party together.
And then they were told to line up behind each other.
Und dann standen wir alle in so einer Reihe aufgereiht. Ein fetter Security-Mann, ich war dann die Letzte in der Reihe, stellt sich hinter mich. Wir sind dann losgelaufen und es wurde gesagt, walk, 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 walk. Okay, wir werden vielleicht zu irgendeinem Tisch gebracht oder so. Wir gehen da lang, werden durch diese Afterparty eskortiert, durch die ganzen Menschen und da war so eine fette graue Tür. Der eine Security macht die graue Tür auf und auf einmal finden wir uns in dieser Reihe, wie wir so langlaufen, wie so die 7 Zwerge, Alter, laufen wir da so rum und da ist einfach so ein Flur. Und gegenüber ist halt noch ein Flur mit so einem Tisch davor und 2 Security-Männern. Digga, das war wirklich wie in einem Film und da ging es dann langsam los. Hinter uns wurde die Tür zugemacht, da standen nochmal Security-Männer vor dieser Tür hinter uns. Da war ich halt schon verwirrt und habe diese Alena halt nochmal gefragt, where are we going? Oh, it's just a little party. It's a more private party with Till, you know. It's gonna be so fun.
They were told that they needed to hand in their phones, and then they entered a small room with 2 black leather sofas and a lot of alcohol. Kyla says that everything happened super quickly. It was only like 1 minute from when they were lined up outside the party to when they found themselves in that little room.
Und auf diesen Couches saßen dann Mädchen, so 8 Mädchen, alle so nebeneinander aufgereiht. Manche von denen waren auch wirklich so ein bisschen benommen. genommen. Die haben nicht gewirkt, als wären die da. Manche gar nicht. Ich habe die angeguckt und da ist nichts passiert. Also die waren wirklich leer und saßen halt so da auf dieser Couch. Das ist gerade mies creepy. Die ganze Atmosphäre war seltsam. Es war stockstill in diesem Raum. Keines dieser Mädchen hat geredet. Und auf einmal macht's Klick. Und ich denke mir so, Digga, das ist gerade gar nicht gut. Ich bin gerade in einer gar nicht guten Situation. In irgendeinem Raum mit 2 Couches, Alkohol und mit irgendeiner fremden Frau, die die ganze Zeit absichert, dass alles okay ist. Und schon als sie meinen Blick gesehen hat, meinte sie so, yeah, you want something to drink? Till is gonna be here soon as well. Like, just have a drink.
Kyla eventually went to the bathroom with her friend and 2 other girls who had already attended the pre-party. And one of them said that she was selected to give Till Lindeman a blowjob underneath the stage during intermission. And that at the after party too, he would select his favorite girls.
Und auf einmal check ich bin hier als Sexobjekt. Ein Mädchen war schon jetzt in eine sexuelle Aktivität mit ihm involviert. Ob sie das wollte, ob sie davor wusste ich jetzt zu dem Zeitpunkt auch nicht. Und ich war so, oh mein Gott, Panik. Ich könnte halt die Nächste sein, die irgendwie rausgezogen wird.
After they learned about this, they went back into the room and knowing that there were 4 security guards outside and they didn't have their phones, she tried to play it cool and told Alena,
I think we're gonna go now. It's really late. We really have to go. Und diese Alena, ihr Blick hat sich komplett verändert in dem Moment. Sie guckt mich an und sagt, what do you mean? You don't want to meet Till? Und ich war so, oh, no, I think it's okay. We really have to go. And she said, no, come on, take a drink first. Come on, you have to drink something. There's gonna be music here soon. It's gonna be a great party. Take a drink first. Und will mir so einen Drink andrehen. Und ich war so, no, we really have to go. Und sie so, okay.
So eventually they were let out and they were able to leave under the condition that they couldn't hang out at the regular after party. Shortly after that, Till apparently decided to go straight to his hotel instead, and the rest of the girls were picked up in a black bus to meet him there. One thing that Kyla also talked about in her video is that even though she and her friend were asked for their age, nobody ever checked their IDs, not even her friends who was only 18. And I've even read statements from a few girls that said that Makeva invited them to parties after they specifically told her that they were minors. And apparently the girls aren't only being recruited at the shows directly, but also on Instagram. And one of the girls Kyla met that night was even approached by Makeva when she was out partying at a club. She just randomly asked her if she'd be interested in Rammstein tickets. Other common parts of the casting process, if you want to call it that, seem to be that girls are asked if they're single, they're asked to send photos of their outfits before the show, they're told that they can't bring any guys with them, and they're often singled out and separated from the people they came to the show with. And from the parties themselves, a lot of the stories mention Lindemann destroying things like glasses, bottles, or furniture. People mention being offered cocaine and feeling loopy or seeing girls act vastly out of character when they come back from the pre-party. Of those who actually ended up sleeping with Lindemann, some described it as pretty rough and violent. And the custom of a girl meeting him underneath the stage in the middle of the show seems to be common practice. Now, if you're wondering why these things are just now coming out, if they've been going on for months and years, they aren't. Within the scene and among Rammstein fans, this seems to have been known for a while. The German newspaper Die Welt actually received their first leads on this last fall, and there are lots of old Reddit threads about these parties and how to get into them. Der Spiegel also talked to a witness who was part of Rammstein's inner circle from late 2018 to the beginning of 2020. Sophie. Her boyfriend at the time worked for the band and for Lindemann's solo project, so she had access to the band members as well as all of the private areas at concerts. She says that behind the scenes, everyone was talking about these girls being escorted through the stadium and brought to Lindemann. She says they were usually young girls who didn't look older than in their late 20s, and they usually fit into the category of metal/goth girls. Makeva found a lot of them on Instagram, apparently. Last year, Sophie actually ended up at one of these private parties herself. She says that Lindemann first destroyed a vending machine and threw over a table before he asked the girls to start a conga line while the Rammstein song Sex was playing on full blast. That's when she and her friend decided to leave, but the security guards were hesitant to let them go until she explained her personal connection to some of the crew members. Afterwards, she told some people in the crew about what happened, but none of them were surprised. She was told that, quote, the system and why it exists wasn't a secret in the inner crew circle. Everyone knew what was going on, but nobody talked about it openly. Instead, people laughed about it and gossiped about the women that were being invited to these concerts under false pretenses. And an Austrian woman who has worked in the VIP area of Rammstein concerts told the TV channel ORF,
Mädels gesehen, wie sie den VIP-Bereich verlassen haben und habe mir deshalb schon jahrelang ein schlechtes Gewissen.
And then there is Anna Jakina, wife and manager of Peter Tedgren, who is the co-founder and former guitarist of Till Lindemann's side project, Lindemann. He left the band in 2020, but his wife is now showing support for Shelby Lynn underneath one of her Instagram posts. Your story is not the first one. There are more. All have the same line with passing out. I believe you and support you. To Alena's bitches, tried to tell me, probably you know who I am, that she's lying. So I see now Let's is doing Ullmann's job. Great promotion. She's referring to Lindemann's bodyguard, Dani Ullmann here. Alena Makeva, Joe Let's, Dani Ullmann. A lot of different names that all seem to be connected to this system that has been mentioned in so many of these stories. This was also confirmed by German YouTuber Alex Prinz, known as Der dunkle Parabelritter. As a big YouTuber in the German music industry, particularly the metal scene, he met a Russian woman who was close with Rammstein around 2016-2017 and became friends with her. He says that this was not Alena Makeva, it was another woman, but he doesn't want to reveal her name. He says that they became pretty close and would tell each other about their dating life until she ended up recruiting the woman that he was seeing at the time for these Rammstein parties and the inner circle. Alex apparently found out that his date became really close with Lindemann, and he even recognized her in one of his music videos. He says that this woman recruits girls for the band to this day, even though she doesn't make any money with it, but he thinks she's doing it for the status. So there have been a lot of allegations in the last few weeks, a lot of screenshots of WhatsApp group chats and statements of alleged victims. But how did Rammstein and Lindemann himself react to this, and have there been any consequences yet? The band has issued 2 statements so far. The first one was published just a few days after Shelby's tweets, where they said, "With regard to the allegations circulating on the internet about Vilnius, we can rule out the possibility that what is being claimed took place in our environment. We are not aware of any official investigations into this matter." Then, after more and more allegations had become public, they published this on June 3rd. The publications over the last few days have caused confusion and questions among the public and especially among our fans. The allegations hit us all very hard, and we take them extremely seriously. To our fans, we say, it is important to us that you feel comfortable and safe at our shows, in front of and behind the stage. We condemn any kind of transgression and ask you, do not engage in premature judgment of any kind against those who have made allegations. They have a right to their point of view, but we, the band, also have a right. Namely, not to be prematurely judged either. Lindemann's personal attorneys later published their own statement, saying that the media coverage has been imbalanced and unfairly prejudiced. They stated that any claims about Lindemann using roofies or alcohol to numb women with the goal of conducting sexual acts on them are, without exception, untrue, and they started to send out cease and desist letters to people and publications who have made allegations of that nature. Kyla and a lot of other women have already received one of those letters. 2 weeks after the outbreak of this controversy, Rammstein actually came to Munich, my hometown, to play their first concerts in Germany on this tour. 4 shows in the sold-out Olympia Stadium on June 7th, 8th, 10th, and 11th. That's about 240,000 tickets total. Right before this, the band officially parted ways with Alena Makeva. She would no longer be allowed at Rammstein concerts, they said. But, as mentioned before, she doesn't seem to be the only person doing this job. Then, during one of the shows, Lindemann actually commented on the whole situation in person for the first time.
Wir hatten ein Riesenglück mit dem angekündigten Unwetter. Glaubt mir, das andere wird auch vorbeiziehen. Vielen Dank.
But until then, the band seems to try to avoid further provocations. They stopped using their big penis cannon on stage, for example, and they've also taken the song Pussy out of the set list. The concerts in Munich were surrounded by a lot of debates. Backstage parties and Row Zero were banned completely, and the city even sent so-called awareness teams to the venue that people could approach if they felt unsafe. There were protests right outside of the stadium, and a lot of people were actually trying to sell their tickets before the shows. Other fans, however, stayed loyal to the band and went to the concert as planned. Some of them said in interviews that they're going to stay neutral until there's actual evidence for or against the allegations. Some said that they don't believe any of it. or that they still enjoy the music either way. As of right now, Rammstein is continuing their tour as planned. In the next few days, they're gonna be in Spain and Portugal, then they'll play Italy, the Netherlands, and Hungary before they return to Germany to play 3 shows in Berlin in mid-July. The city of Berlin announced that they too are going to ban any kinds of after parties. Meanwhile, the media coverage on this topic is in full swing. In the last few weeks, the Rammstein controversy has been one of the top headlines in German newspapers, broadcasting, and even German YouTubers such as Rezo, TJ, Alyosha, or Kyla Scheiks and Der Dunkle Parabelritter, who I mentioned earlier, have used their platforms to bring attention to this. If you do understand German, I highly recommend watching at least Kyla's video, but the other ones as well. And it's no wonder that this topic is getting so much attention. Rammstein has been a cultural phenomenon for almost 30 years. They're one of the biggest German bands of all times and the #1 most successful band making music in German. Ever since these 6 guys from the former GDR formed the band in 1994, they've sold over 20 million albums, they've had countless #1 hits in several countries, and they're known for some of the most spectacular live shows with lots of fire and pyrotechnics. But they've also been provocative from day one. They're known for crossing boundaries, and their use of violence, sex, and Nazi references has caused confusion, disturbance, and a lot of controversies over the years. But as Süddeutsche Zeitung writes, the name of the game has always been, quote, "He is not what he writes. He doesn't do what he sings. Only those who understand that understand Rammstein." Now, a lot of people are starting to question the separation between Till Lindeman as a person and his poetic persona. Already controversial pieces such as Lindemann's poem Wenn du schläfst, songs like Platz 1 or Ach so gern, scenes of sexual violence in music videos, and his brand Dr. Dick are suddenly being viewed in a whole different light. Here are a few snippets for you. Ich schlafe gerne mit dir, wenn du schläfst, wenn du dich überhaupt nicht regst. Etwas Rohypnol im Wein, etwas Rohypnol ins Glas. Kannst dich gar nicht mehr bewegen. Und du schläfst, es ist ein Segen.
Alle Frauen, alles meins. Alles dreht sich nur um mich.
Denn ach so gern habe ich die Frauen geküsst. Und doch nicht immer auf den Mund. Man meint, ich hätte sie gezwungen. Nein, die Wahrheit liegt dazwischen wohl. Und manche hauchte leise Nein. Doch ich kannte kein Erbarmen. Am Ende sollten sie es bereuen.
And in case you want to see it, I'll link some music videos with disturbing scenes and the Instagram page to the Dr. Dick brand in the info box below. I personally just don't want to show that on my channel. And then of course there are videos like Till the End that I came across during my research for this video, but I really wish I had never seen that because of how disturbing it was. Till the End is a song that Lindemann published in 2020 with his side project Natsui, and the video for it can only be described as very rough and disturbing porn. So just a warning in case you decide to watch it. On Instagram, a lot of fans are expressing their disappointment. It would have been too good to be true to believe that Till is only portraying an artistic figure. He seems to be living his lyrics, and that's why I'm out. I would have loved to see a concert on this tour, but I don't support this kind of behavior in the slightest and will therefore not attend Rammstein shows anymore. Others are saying, please get rid of row 0 and the weird band meetings that have a criteria to get in. It's kind of easy to learn from possible mistakes, you know? Or this one in response to their second public statement, ridiculous statement. It's your responsibility to create a safe environment for all concert goers. As a Rammstein fan, this makes me sad. My values are above my love for your music. Solidarity with the affected women. But upset fans and bad press aren't the only consequences the band has faced so far. A few days after the allegations started, the publishing house Kiwi Verlag, that published both of Lindemann's poetry books, cut all ties with him and spoke about irreversibly shattered trust. One of the reasons being that Lindemann used one of his own poetry books in the Till the End porn video, in a rather unpleasant way. In terms of legal consequences, Shelby has filed a police report in Lithuania and has given a 5-hour-long statement over the phone. The German news outlet Welt was actually present for that, but the Lithuanian authorities later announced that they were not going to further investigate this case. In Germany, however, the Berlin prosecution just announced last week that Till Lindeman is now officially under investigation in regard to paragraph 177, which covers sexual assault, coercion, and rape. The prosecutors also confirmed
confirmed that the investigations include Alena Makeva as well. One day after that became public, Rammstein's music label Universal announced that they've paused all marketing and promotion activities for the band until further notice. Despite that, Rammstein's music is actually performing unusually well right now. 3 of their albums just made their way back into the German music charts, which means that 6 out of 8 Rammstein albums are currently in the top 100. Then the CEO of the German event management company Riggingwerk, that has worked with Rammstein at their concerts, announced that they're cutting all ties with the band. He also said that the room underneath the stage that has been mentioned in a lot of the media reports was known as Suckbox among the crew, and he said that in addition to the Row Zero system, security guards were also told to walk through the audience during the shows to recruit young women for that. Lindemann himself has apparently even shown a video of this place on his solo tour. I'll try to link that in the info box for you. I don't know if YouTube will let me, but it shows him having sex with 2 women in that room underneath the stage, and then how he goes on stage right after that. And then last Friday, Rammstein's drummer Christoph Schneider published his own statement. It's pretty long, but in the first part, he basically says that he doesn't believe that anything illegal has happened at these parties, but that nevertheless there seem to have been structures that went beyond the boundaries and values of the rest of the band. That's why it's also important to us that Till's parties are not being confused with our official after parties. Till has distanced himself from us in the last few years and has created his own bubble, with his own people, his own parties, his own projects. That has made me sad, definitely. Meanwhile, Makeva, even though officially banned from concerts, still seems to be touring with the band and organizing private after parties for upcoming shows. She's also been trying to do some damage control by asking girls to publicly defend and support Rammstein, which many of them do, for the most part, probably without anyone telling them to do so. The German musician Jadu Lassini, ex-wife of rapper Materia, who was on tour with Lindemann for about 1.5 months in 2020, says that she hasn't experienced anything problematic during that time. She says that the doors were always open and everyone was allowed to leave whenever they wanted to, and she also says that she talked to many women on that tour and never heard anything about weird things like people being drugged or forced to drink. And even Lindemann's ex-girlfriend, the German TV personality Sophia Tomala, publicly defended him. She and Lindemann dated from 2011 to 2015, and she said that Lindemann is actually a man who protects women. And according to Der Spiegel, she's not alone with that assessment. They say that a lot of people from his direct environment describe him as an introverted, polite gentleman who cares for others and takes care of drunk women. But the magazine also writes that it almost seems like he has 2 different personalities. Die Welt, for example, writes, Menschen aus der Branche sagen, dass Lindemann sexsüchtig sei. Er brauche bei jeder Show sehr junge Frauen, die er noch nicht hatte. Inzwischen verlasse er sogar während eines Konzerts die Bühne für schnellen Sex, berichten Zeugen aus dem Umfeld der Band. Makeva liefert ihm die Mädchen. Tomala further said, in regard to Shelby Lynn, that the allegations are completely made up by a person that wants to get 5 minutes of fame at the expense of a rock star. Quote, I'm neither providing a platform to a self-proclaimed victim, nor do I support that for even 1 second. And she's not alone with that take. A lot of people are accusing Shelby and the other women that have come forward of lying or exaggerating. They say that they just want fame or attention, that they should have known what they were getting themselves into when they went backstage with a rock star, and one who sings so openly about sex at that it's their own fault for putting themselves in that situation. Shelby has even received death threats. One thing that people keep bringing up in this context is the legal principle innocent until proven guilty, and that since nothing has been proven yet, Lindemann is being judged prematurely in the public debate. And while this principle is definitely important to keep in mind, it doesn't prohibit people from sharing their personal experiences or keep media from reporting about suspicions and allegations. In a lot of cases, media coverage and investigative journalism is actually what leads authorities to open a case in the first place. And accusing people of lying and defamation doesn't exactly follow the presumption of innocence either. Now, as of right now, we don't know if and to what degree the allegations are true and if there are going to be any legal consequences. But, and this is all my personal opinion now, even if there's no evidence for illegal activities such as drugging people, sexual assault, or rape, and even if every single one of these women had consented to whatever they got involved in, we'd still be left with a system that's built on a hierarchy of power and abusing that power. When you have fans who look up to you you and idealize you, a lot of them are going to want to spend time with you. That's like the currency of fandom. It's in very high demand. And that gives you, as the celebrity, a lot of power over these people. And with that, a lot of responsibility. Even more so when you add a significant age difference, let's say 40 years. And if you then use that power in a way that manipulates the fans and creates an advantage for you, it can become really problematic on a moral level. The German YouTuber Rezo actually described this really well. He emphasized how important consent is in this context and how these kinds of power structures can impair one's ability to give true consent. He says that factors such as being put under the influence of substances, being put in an unexpected situation, being part of a hierarchy, being isolated from your social group, being exposed to peer pressure, being put in a situation where it's not easy to leave, being pressured to do certain things, and being given sudden orders or requests, all can make people go along with things that they don't actually want to do.
Wenn man in einer Position ist, in der genügend Frauen mit vollem Consent mit einem schlafen würden und man entscheidet sich aktiv dazu, ein solches System zu erzeugen, wo es diese Situation ständig gibt, die unglaublich viele Leute bestätigen und nach denen zu viele Frauen berichtet haben, sie seien unter Drogen gesetzt und gewaltsam vergewaltigt worden. Wenn man all das aktiv und systematisch erzeugen würde, dann will man keinen Consent. Dann geht es genau darum.
Last week, Rezo and a few other German celebrities, including Nora Tschirner and Caroline Kebekus, actually started a fundraiser to help those who are currently being targeted by Lindemann's attorneys for sharing their stories. The money will help pay for any legal fees. Nobody should feel discouraged to talk about their experiences, it says on the website. Within just a few days, they've collected over 700,000 euros in donations, so that's a really cool thing. I've made a donation as well, and I'll put the link in the info box below if you'd like to show some support, or if you're even in the situation where you need the support. I personally think that it's really important that people are finally talking about all of this, considering how well known this seems to have been among Rammstein insiders for years. Power and money definitely should not protect people from facing consequences for their actions and being a decent human being. And yes, rockstars have always had groupies, it is part of the culture, but that's still something that should be happening between two consenting adults. Hopefully now, people who go to Rammstein concerts are at least informed about this, and if they do want to attend these parties, they can make a more informed decision for themselves rather than allegedly being lured into situations under false pretenses. I personally also find it ridiculous that some people actually believe that these women are coming forward with their stories for fame and attention, because for one, most of them are staying anonymous, so that's kind of a weird strategy to become famous, and the ones who aren't staying anonymous are actually exposed to an insane amount of hate, insults, and even threats. And then of course there's the classic victim blaming, where people tell them that it's their own fault for being too naive or for wearing certain clothing, which is obviously bullshit. So the fact that some people actually believe that anyone would choose to go through that for fun is beyond me. I have so much respect for each and every one of these women for having the courage to speak up and share these personal and very vulnerable stories publicly. It's so important, not just in this case, but in all cases of sexual violence. But what do you guys think of this whole situation? Are you a fan of Rammstein? And if so, does any of this change your outlook on their music? Would you still go to one of their shows in the future? Let me know in the comments below, but please, please, please make sure that you stay respectful. If you found this video interesting or helpful, you can show me some support by subscribing to my channel. It's just one click and completely free. You can also hit the thumbs up button, send me a super thanks, buy me a coffee right here, or join my Patreon community. This is where you can find me outside of YouTube. And with that, I hope I'll see you next time. Tschüss!